Hello and welcome to episode 2 of How to Connect with Humans, um, which is a series we put together um, to um, to talk about an understanding that absolutely changed our lives with Wayne. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And today we have somebody that is so dear to our heart. So dear, it's been so transformative in our lives, and so he doesn't want a big introduction. So I think he is so amazing that he really doesn't need any introductions. But I will say is that today's episode is called Beauty in the Unknown, and one of the things that we've seen from Dicken is that he speaks so beautifully about that. And as soon as you put a baby, we try to, we couldn't produce the baby today, but as soon as you put a baby in front of Dicken,
it'd be all over.
Dicken's face just transforms. It's like, it's like, oh, because I think it's just babies are in that amazing sea of unknown and magic. That's all they know. That it's all discovery and wonderfulness. So without much ado, thank you so much for being here. We can't believe it. And hello, Deacon.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wayne came up with the title for this, Beauty in the Unknown. I really had no trouble relating to this title. I think it's perfect for what we want to talk about. Beauty. Let me say something first about beauty. What came to mind immediately is beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So we'll talk about having the eyes for beauty. And once you have the eyes for beauty, it's very different than seeing something as beautiful. It's seeing beauty in everything you look at. Like when my granddaughter Eva was 5 years old, we're driving in the car and she goes, Poppy, Poppy, I have magic eyes. And I say, what do you mean, Eva? She says, everywhere I look, things sparkle. Right? Beauty in the eye of the beholder. Sid talked about it as seeing, capital S. There's seeing when you look at things through your thinking, through your concepts. And then when your mind is quiet, there's seeing. Isn't that cute? He used to get such a kick out of that. He thought that was so funny. They're seeing. One, you're looking out at the world through the known, through the intellect. Right? The other is you're looking through a mind free of concepts, free of the intellect. That's why I've learned so much from babies is when we're born, we all see the world through eyes uncontaminated by ideas, beliefs, and concepts. It's an uncontaminated view. It's a pure, Sid often used the word pure. So he talked about what we're looking for is pure thought, which he also called the unknown, which he also called the state of no thought, where our personal mind has, as he says, gone to sleep. We've gotten quiet. So one way of thinking about the unknown is we step into the unknown whenever we disengage from our personal thinking and our minds get quiet. So a quiet mind is the unknown. It's not some weird, far off place. Sid says we're a thought away from that in every moment. We can be thinking about life, and we can stop thinking about life and be fully present. When we're fully present, it just means we're not thinking about life. We're not thinking about ourselves. We're not thinking about life. It's very, Sid says, the most ordinary thing in the world. This is not complicated. It's very simple. We're a thought away from pure consciousness. We're a thought away from our original state. We're a thought away from newborn consciousness. And it's very ordinary. I mean, even when I'm working with people who are clinically depressed or have bipolar, or have been labeled with bipolar or schizophrenia, moments of presence are moments of presence. And when we're present, our eyes change. Have you been with somebody like at a party or just hanging out with your friends, and you're talking to them, looking them in the eyes? Can't you tell the instant that they start thinking about something when they're not listening? And you know what happens to their eyes? The light goes out in their eyes. Right? So I want to make the connection between when we're fully present, the light's on in our eyes, we're seeing through light rather than the darkness, obscurity of our ideas and concepts. I walk into a house with a couple, any house, any couple, and you can look in their eyes and see how much light is in their eyes. You can see how present they are. And if they're not doing very well in their relationship, I guarantee the lights are out and they're both doing a lot of thinking when they're with each other. Interesting. Lights out. Bye-bye. I'm leaving you now and I'm going to go. I'm going to go now and go into my personal thought room, the waiting room, right? You're going to have to wait for me because I'm not here anymore. I'm thinking about myself and my life and you and what you're saying and what I want to say to you, and think. And Sid says you can't think your way into the now. You can't think your way to seeing life as it is in its beauty. The more education I got, became a psychologist, got my doctorate. The more education I got, the more thinking I did. I had more to think about. Right? And there was a phrase back then, a life unexamined is not a life worth living. So I was examining. Examining means analyzing. And I was examining my life from every angle in every moment. And so my kids called me space cadet because I was never present. I was always thinking about life. And if you ask me, I said, well, I'm just thinking about important things. And if I don't think about it, nothing will get done. So as I got older, the light started going out in my eyes. You can call that insecurity. You can call that unhappiness. You can call that, as my kids did, just being preoccupied with self. One time, Sid Banks says, you know what ego is? Everything you think. I'd never heard anybody say that before. Isn't that something? I mean, just when we're thinking, we're not present. And sometimes that's very beautiful. I mean, there are times I like to think about things or analyze something or make a plan, and that's using your intellect wisely. And it doesn't take much toll on us. And we sort of come online, Google some really cool stuff, right? And then come offline going, wow, okay. We go into the world of the known, ideas, beliefs, concepts, and memories. Every memory we have is the known. All the information we have stored is the known, right? One of the greatest secrets, one of the greatest things to learn for any of us, we never find peace, joy, love, beauty in the known. It's impossible. No one does. Now let's keep it simple. You go for a walk and you're with someone, and the whole time you're with them, you're thinking about stuff and talking to them. Nothing wrong with that. You're not going to see nature. You won't see beauty around you. You could be surrounded in the most beautiful place and you're thinking about it. Sometimes said we'd be at a picnic and we'd all be thinking about the principles and talking about it and thinking about it and talking about it. Right? We couldn't see anything. We couldn't smell what was cooking on the grill. Right? We didn't hear the birds. We didn't see the light reflecting off the ocean. Right? We didn't feel the breeze on our cheeks. Right? Now it's possible to talk to people and be present. It's possible to be present and not in personal thinking and still talking to people, but you hear the birds. You smell the food cooking. Right? You're filled with a sense of connection, aliveness, beauty. You know, when I want to come back to this whole notion that when we're not thinking, it's the most ordinary thing in the world. It takes no effort when we're not thinking. It's the one thing that it takes effort to think about things. It expends energy. If you're in your head all day long thinking about things like I've done many times, I think I got a gold medal in the Mento Olympics, you know, for the most number of thoughts I could fit into a 24-hour period. You know, it was like, you know, they had the little counters going and it's like, wow, I broke records. And to begin to discover that we're living in the world of thought all the time, and we can use our intellect wisely or unwisely. We can go online and Google, but if you live online, you don't live fully in the now. So you don't come to feel gratitude and see through the eyes that Eva was talking about at 5 years old, the sparkling eyes, seeing through the eyes free of any thinking. Oh my God. You can tell a lot about a person when you go for a walk with them. Do they see what's around them? Or are they just in their personal thinking the whole time? Isn't that it's telling? No judgment, because all of us at times think about life, and while we're thinking, we're not here. I used to think about life so much because I was an adult and I had a lot of responsibilities. So don't you dare blame me for thinking, because I'm being responsible, right? So here I am at home with my wife and 2 kids. I'm out of work. I'm not at work, right? We just had a dinner that I didn't see or taste, and I'm doing my job. I'm a responsible adult thinking about all the things I have to think about. I had no notion of wisdom can take care of all of that when I'm not thinking. Wisdom solves my problems, makes decisions, does all of that easily, gracefully. So I'm thinking, and Kwesi, who is very playful, came up to me, knocked on my forehead. Hello, hello, anybody home? Are you going to come out and play with us tonight? Or are you going to stay in there all night? And I said, I got a lot to think about, Kwesi. And then I'd try to come out, but I felt like I needed to be thinking in order to get anything accomplished, in order to figure out problems, in order to make decisions. Thank God I met Sid Banks. If you think all day long, you don't experience the ordinary beauty of life. You're not nourished by the now. And then your relationships suffer. And then drinking seems much more appealing. Boy, do I need a drink. Oh man, I deserve a drink. And then we deserve it at 4 in the afternoon, then 3 in the afternoon, then 10 in the morning. Oh God, I just feel so uncomfortable. A drink would relax me. I deserve, given what I'm going through. Right? So it's nice to come home to the now, to what Sid called pure consciousness, awareness free of the contamination of our personal thinking. He said pure consciousness is what every human being in this world is looking for, whether they know it or not. He said that's where we feel most comfortable. That's where we're most at ease. That's where we get the most accomplished. When I work in business, people who overthink, you could see people who are thinking all day long, the furrow and the head down and the weight of thinking, the weight of all that personal thinking just weighing heavily on people. You do that long enough, we call it depression. You'd see people thinking innocently because we just haven't learned. All those years I was a spelunker. I'd go deep into the heart of analytic thought and spelunk the depths of those caves of deep seriousness. Right. Going into the dark of the heavy known. What some people have called the graveyard of the soul, because it's the already dead. It's already been created. Sid's whole teaching is, Sid Banks, my teacher, the guy who started this 3 principles stuff. I forgot what I was going to say about it. We just, his whole teaching was, here it came back, thanks, is not pointing toward what's already been created, what you've already been thinking and feeling, or what you are thinking and feeling, but toward what hasn't been created yet, what's doing the creating. That's where beauty is found. That's the unknown. That's the ordinariness of just being free of personal thought. It's where we do our best thinking. And paradoxically, it's where we do our best feeling. Where we really start to feel life. right? Where you can be with somebody and have a feeling of connection and well-being, not through effort, not by trying to communicate well, not by doing, just by being. And that presence is safe to people, so they relax around you. If you're thinking you're not safe, this is a primal response, right? I meet horses and they know when I'm thinking and when I'm present. When I'm thinking, they stay away. They don't come near. I'm not safe. I got an agenda. It's my personal thinking, which means I have ideas about how things should be, how horses should be. Right? I fall out of my thinking and I'm safe. I fall out of my thinking, my kids come to me rather than run away from me. It's the key to healthy relationships because we're talking about connecting with others. I call it, it's really simple. I'm thinking about things, which is fine, but I won't find beauty in life. I won't find connection. I won't find intimacy. I won't find creativity. I won't find the new and fresh. I just get the old, same old thoughts, same old feelings, same old ideas. Mhm. This is why we never want to get wedded to what we think or believe. We want to have thoughts and beliefs because they're fun and can be helpful and allows us to communicate. So it's pretty cool. But you get wedded to thought and hold on to thought. You stop living in the now. Here's a quote from Sid. We're searching for a silent mind. People say, I don't know how to find a silent mind. I say, okay, just listen. Sid used listening as presence, as the ordinariness. Just listen. Because you can't think and listen at the same time. And if you can listen, you're in the now. Now rest there. Rest in a state of listening. So Sid says, then you don't just listen to people that way. You listen to everything in life that way. In other words, you just rest in the now. Why? Because here's why. We're searching for a silent mind. It's in the silence of the mind that all the secrets of life are found, where all happiness is found, where all beauty is found, where the keys are found, the keys to life: love, peace, beauty, joy, connection, intimacy. And the second you open that door, right, you stop being caught in thought, you find a new level of consciousness. This is
I don't know if can you still hear Dicken, or is he frozen for you to just go? No, right? Yeah, okay. So let us see whether he's had some trouble and got out of the Zoom, or is he still out here?
He's still here.
He's still here. Okay.
He's gone now, I think.
Oh, he may have been having some problems with the connection. So while we, I'm sure he'll get back in a minute. Do you want to see if he's.
Mhm.
So while we wait, one of the things that I first found myself when we started here about this understanding was if I hear Dicken saying, when I think, like I'm not in the now, and when I'm and I was thinking, am I supposed to go around with a lobotomy, like not think about anything else? And
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
here you are. So there you go. So should we go?
Hi, everybody.
Did you go to the meeting room again? So here you are.
Okay, so here's the fun part. We're thinking, which is we're just using our computer. We're using our intellect. Nothing wrong with that. We can think about whatever we want, whenever we want. We're free thinkers. Now, sometimes when we're thinking about things, it starts creating a degree of tension or stress or upset. And that's letting us know we're starting to misuse our computer. We're overusing it. We're trying to use it for something it wasn't designed for or built for. It's basically saying, like we say to our kids, close the laptop. You're staring at the screen of thought content too long. Close your laptop, come back to life. Right? You're on video games all day long. The games that you're thinking, Sid used to talk about, we live in all these games that we think up, and we don't realize they're just games made up by our own thinking. So every once in a while, thank God we feel tension. Have fun until you're not having fun, right? Now more and more I realize that there's tension in my thinking, and more am I finding I'm living in the present. Do I become passive or lazy or not care? No, the opposite. Then thinking comes to us when we're not thinking. And that thinking, Sid says, is a higher order of thinking. It creates all our positive feelings. It creates our experience of beauty. It's new and fresh thinking. It brings us answers to problems. It's where decisions are always made, whether we know it or not. At some point, a thought pops into our mind. So there's the thinking we do, which is ego. And then when we're not thinking, thoughts still happen, but they come to us new and fresh, creative. Mhm. When I'd work in business, it was practical because they had business problems they were trying to resolve. If you think constantly about the problem, you just get the same old thoughts. You're dealing with stored memory, information that's already known. You're not getting anything new and fresh. And in business, as in life, new and fresh is where all the action happens. It's where it's fun, where you get, oh, we could do this. Oh, this makes sense. So every bit of our common sense. Okay. So we're thinking, and at some point there's a feeling to it. And my kids and family notice that. They'd say, you're a space cadet. You're just not in life anymore. You're just so serious. So Sid says seriousness is a huge problem for human beings. It indicates misusing the intellect. It indicates overthinking. It indicates an innocent misunderstanding that we're using thought in a way it wasn't intended to be used. Let me see if I can find. Just another quick little Sid quote. All you have to do is change your mind. You're making up a story in your head. Now we're free to keep doing that, or we're free to let it go. And then wisdom makes up a new story, fresh out of the oven, fresh baked cookies, not the old burnt cookies you're trying to resuscitate, right? All you have to do is change your mind. drop beliefs and concepts for spiritual facts when you touch divine consciousness. Now, let me just make this ordinary. I'm thinking about stuff. I'm getting worried, anxious. I'm getting bummed out. I'm thinking about the news. I'm starting to feel pissed at what's happening. I'm getting all worked up. And then I wake up to the fact of thought. Now, I'm a free thinker, so I now realize I'm thinking up my tension, anxiety, worry, upset. Now I have a choice. I have free will. I can keep thinking, even though that thinking makes me more and more miserable, or I can let it go. And then I call it dropping in. I drop out of the thinking that's depressing me, weighing on me. Ego is tension. So if I'm feeling tension, I know I'm caught up in personal thought in a way that's not helpful or healthy. And it's an invitation. And if I really see it, I can see the innocence of it. There's no judgment. People with understanding think and enjoy thinking, but so often they're just dropping into the now. It's not avoiding life, it's running to the heart of life. It's running to where we can do our best thinking. It's the only place we can find new and fresh feeling and thinking. It's my observation. When I let go of everything I'm thinking, I become more aware, more present, which feels good. It's the only place we can feel good is in the now. Feels good. And my feeling lightens up. You know, when somebody says to you, you've got to lighten up.
Yeah.
You're taking this way too seriously. You got to lighten up. Remember how I said when you're thinking about things, the light goes out in your eye? You know why they say your eyes are the windows to your soul? You know how they say when you're dying, go to the light? Yeah, when you're dying of unhappiness and confusion and upset and misery, go to the light. Lighten up. Let go of your thought burden. Eckhart Tolle says the only thought burden is when we're caught up in our thinking and not in the now. There is no thought burden in the now. There is no past weighing on you. It just means there's no memory in the now. It's free of memory. So your view of life becomes uncontaminated by what Sid called thoughts of yesterday. He has a beautiful quote about that, about being the pure consciousness is just awareness free of the thoughts of yesterday, free of all memory. Right? If you're free of all memory, you're seeing life fresh and new and alive. Okay, I'm with my wife now, and I'm thinking, I won't feel close to her. If I don't understand this, I'll think that's because of it's a statement about our relationship or a statement about Quasi. Oh, there's something wrong with our relationship. I don't feel close to you. We got to talk about this. And now you get two people in their computers trying to get the love back, processing. We got to process this. That used to be the thing for years when I was a new psychologist, is you had to process your relationship. This is live TV right here. This
It is.
all of a sudden the electricity goes off in the studio and it's like, here we are. Okay, so I drop in while I'm with Quasi and rest in the now. And as any human being rests in the now, they'll start to feel a little lighter, a little less tense, a little more relaxed, a little more open. The longer you just rest in the now, the nicer you start to feel. And then you start looking out at the world through those eyes. You've jumped to a higher level of consciousness. which just means free of the contamination of conceptual thought. That's a higher level. So you see more beauty. So I go and I say to my wife, I'm back. And she knows now that I'm seeing her through the eyes of beauty, through the eyes of love. I'm back in the honeymoon phase of our relationship. I'm seeing her fresh. If I look at my wife through memory, I've got all kinds of memories. Some of them good, some of them not so good. If I look through old memories, like we do when we're not feeling good, I'm not seeing. I'm seeing through the contamination of a thought-created filter, the illusion, the made-up story, the ideas that I'm wedded to. I fall out of that and I experience life new and fresh. So Sid would say, you're always looking for new and fresh. How can you tell when there's old? There's tension. You're caught up in thinking, you're getting confused or anxious or upset or bummed out. Symptoms of being wedded to personal thought, wedded to ego. We become much more egocentric when we're wedded to our own personal thinking. So it becomes all about me, what I want, what I need. I need this. You have to change so I can be happy. That used to be what relationships were, expressing your needs and your wants. And okay, I love going for walks and dropping in, and I've absolutely fall in love with everything in front of me. The neighbors, oh my God, they look so cute when I'm looking through those eyes. All right, what Eva said, everything sparkles. Right? I see the trees, and it's so beautiful. I see flowers. It's like meeting everything I see through the eyes of beauty is a friend. Even when I look at someone who's caught up in personal thinking, negative story, being critical and judgmental, if I see through the eyes of love, through the eyes of beauty, I have compassion for them because I know that very well. Whom amongst us has not gotten caught up in story, caught up in our thinking and thinking we're experiencing life directly. We're not. We're experiencing memory. We're experiencing our old thinking. We're experiencing the filter, the only thing in the way of intimacy. When the filter falls away, there's a sense of closeness and connection. What do you think, guys?
That's amazing. Oh, I can't tell you how much that has impacted me to kind of hear you say about the horses, and when you're not present, they know to kind of be aware. It's the same with my cats. They're exactly the same.
Yes.
When I'm present, they know that when I'm present, they can come to me and stroked, and
so true.
They love it. And then when I'm kind of in my own head, they know to kind of like back away. So that's really
it's really something, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. I talked yesterday to a guy who is dating, and he gets so in his head, and then he wonders why dating is always so awkward and uncomfortable. And he's starting to catch on the difference between when I'm thinking about how my date is going and whether I like this person and what I should say and how I should respond. If I'm thinking, I'm not present. So it's like I'm not even on the date yet. Right? I thought I was on the date. I'm not even here in the room. I'm not, and then wonder why it doesn't go so well. Right? He's just starting to catch on though. It's awesome to see. Oh, I'm a thinker. And when I'm thinking, I don't feel the connection. And when I recognize the feeling of that and drop in, I drop into this space that's free of thinking. That's the easiest way to think of it. It's just free of all concepts, free of thinking. It's so ordinary. It's so ordinary. We drive a car, we give ourselves permission to drop in. We don't say, oh, I have to analyze the whole time I'm driving. You know, if you do that, you're in an accident every 2 seconds. Right? So it's not like we can't make life and death decisions while we're in the now. That's an illusion. That's a misunderstanding people have. If I'm not thinking, I won't decide. I won't live. I won't know what to do. I won't know how to respond. I got to think it through. I have to think it through. Yeah. Here's a good strategy. I want to make a decision, so I'll think myself into a place where I feel more and more burdened, more heavy, more confused, more uncertain, have more doubts. That's a good strategy. Things aren't going well in my relationship. I got to process it. I got to think it through. I got to figure it out. I got to think this out, or I got to figure out what I can do different, or what the other person can do different, or how I can get the other person to be different, right? And then you wake up, oh my gosh, this is all ego. This is all me, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking to myself, literally, right? And then you wake up. Thank God we feel tension, stress, upset. It's an alarm clock trying to wake us up to no thought, not stupidity, but wisdom. Wisdom reveals its secrets to us when we as ego are not present. And then it gives gifts. I wrote down at one point all these, it's magical. All these gifts are given to us. Sid calls them the keys to life, the keys to happiness, the keys to beauty, the keys to relationships, is given freely by wisdom when we're open to wisdom. So it's being open-minded rather than closed-minded. So be closed-minded if you want to analyze something or figure out something. That's cool. Figure out what time you have to leave to go to the airport. You say, excuse me, I'm going to leave everybody now and go and do some math in my head and figure out times and remember when my flight's leaving and when I need to get to the airport. And that's in memory. So I'm going to go in and go through my memory files and Google some things, and I'll be right back. But some people like me didn't come back. I hung out in Google land. I was Google. I was like gone. I was a gone girl. I was not around. I was nobody home. The light was out, you know. Motel 6, the ad for this motel chain used to say, we leave the light on for you.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. I think we should leave the light on for each other.
Yeah.
Just a way of lightening up. When we feel serious, it's time to lighten up. When we're getting serious about our life or our relationship, time to lighten up. The wisdom, the answers, the beauty is in the light. Go to the light, be a light unto the world. When I watch the news, everybody on the news has lost their light. And a lot of people watching the news think about that in a way that they too lose the light. And I tell you, we're not going to deal well with injustice when the lights are out. The people who have dealt the best with injustice are the people who have the strongest lights, the Martin Luther Kings, the Gandhis, the Barack Obamas, the people who go in that direction of kindness and warmth and love and beauty, and begin to see beauty in people. You see beauty in people. If you're not seeing, you won't see beauty in people. You get the eyes for it. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's so true. So true. I'm not seeing beauty in my wife. It's because I got some stuff in my eyes. I can't see very clearly. Right? So I was blind and then I could see. Wow.
I am so moved, and pretty much usually happens when I listen to you talk. Like I start feeling so emotional, and in a good way.
Yeah.
What this call is, it's so current to so many things at the moment for me.
Oh.
It's like we suppose life was going to be that way, and then suddenly like all this happened, and then you start either getting really worried and trying to plan what you're going to do and what you, and there's like what happened for us was we had a bit of that, and then we sort of got in this beautiful unknown and stillness that got us seeing so much beauty in very little simple things. And like with this call, I'm sitting here and your video was cutting off, and I'm thinking, this can't happen in our call with Dicken, right? Because it should go smoothly. That's what I planned in my head. And
I know.
And the great thing is that we can sit here and have an absolute feeling of something is holding our backs, whether connection reconnects or whether it's not, or where it's bumpy. And this is how the call is supposed to be. And we can surrender to that. That's what life is. And it couldn't be at least bringing me more to the truth of the now. That this is the beauty of living in the truth of the now.
Yeah. It's the beauty of living in the truth of the now.
It's beautiful.
Jesus used to say to people, if you but had eyes to see and ears to hear, you would know truth. That's a beautiful teaching. You'll find in every person who's dropped deeply into the now, into pure consciousness. Sid also said that's our soul. The soul is where we begin to wake up to our divinity. He says the whole task in life is to wake up to our divinity. Right? So we drop into our soul. One time he says, here's our thinking, here's our soul underneath that, and then underneath that is the spiritual wholeness of life. So he called the soul the middle ground. So when we drop into the middle ground, and then the wisdom and intelligence of that infinite divine energy that we're surrounded by, that's everywhere and in everything, and everything is created from that energy. We drop into that, and then there's love, and there's understanding, and there's knowing. There's seeing, right? Seeing that goes beyond even our senses. It's a knowing that, and a feeling. Seeing and feeling go together. Sid says if you're really listening, you're in a good feeling. If you're not in a good feeling, you're not listening yet. You're still thinking. Isn't that interesting? If you're really in the now, there's a feeling of being in the now. Even if sad thoughts are coming through or upset thoughts, there's a feeling of being in the now. It feels you're at ease or at peace with what is. Even if it's sadness coming through or upset coming through. Look at babies. They're at peace with what is. It just, everything flows through them. Everything. It's not a certain feeling. It's the feeling that embraces all feelings. So Sid would say, listen for the feeling that's always there when you're not in your intellect. When you've dropped in, there's a feeling of well-being. You don't have to name it. You don't have to label it. It's just the feeling that makes our relationships with our cats so special. What makes our relationship with our horses so special? What makes our relationship with our flower friends and trees so special? Right? It's the magic. Poppy, I have magic eyes. It's the magic. It is magic. I can really, like this morning, I woke up, I was in a horrible mood. I was totally uninspired. I say, Kwesi, there's nothing here. I got nothing. But I knew there's only one problem. I'm caught in my thinking about stuff. One solution, dropping in. So here I am in a horrible mood, dropping in, going, I got nothing, I got nothing, I got nothing. And Kwesi and I are sitting there, and she says, do you want breakfast? And I don't know. You know how you are when you're down? I don't know. I don't know. You want to eat now? You want to eat now or later? I can't. I can't decide. I don't care. Right? Just dropping in. I'm in the middle ground, and all of a sudden, this always happens. It's unbelievable. Remember, Sid says the only thing you have to know is how to change your mind. If at any point we drop in, wisdom will bring us new and fresh. That's what it means to change your mind. One time, Sid saw how hard we were working to do the principles and to do it right and to drop thought and to be present. And we were really doing a lot of thinking about that. And so he goes, you want to know the greatest secret that any human being can learn? See, he's playing to our ego. He knew that would catch our egos, that, oh man, we were hooked. He just totally knew. And my ego gets all excited. He's going to tell me how to. He's going to give the big how-to reveal. It's happening right now. And he says, the most important thing a human being can learn is how to change their mind. And then he saw us all hooked. It was just a bunch of us sitting around one night. He saw we were all hooked. So then he pulled the rug out from under our egos. He says, oh, there's only one problem with this. You can't change your mind with your little mind. Only big mind can do that. So I don't try and drop thought. I just get present. If I'm present, wisdom knows how to drop thoughts, knows how to clear my head, knows how to do all the things I thought I had to do. I have no clue how to get present. I just do it. I have no clue how to fall asleep. I just do it. There are clues. You have to let go of everything you're thinking. You can't hold on and let go at the same time. If you're trying to let go, you're thinking about letting go. And that thinking is creating trying feelings of stress or this is hard. People say, oh, this is too hard. And I say, okay, listen to me. And they go, okay. Really, honestly, anybody is like, okay. All right, because we know what it is, even though we can't explain it, we can't describe it, we can't explain to somebody how to do it. It's almost laughable. They're saying, how do you do this? The one thing that we can't do, they're asking, how do I do it? Well, I don't know. Oh, you just did it. How did you do it? Nope, there you did it again. You're present. I can tell you're present. The light came on. How did you do that? But you can get familiar with that. So that's another clue. You can get familiar with this space of just not holding thought. There's a certain feel to it, a certain quality to not holding. The Buddhists say all suffering is holding. Nirvana is not holding anything. So you laugh, you cry, you feel good, you feel bad. But when we're fully present, we see beauty even in our sadness. Right? We see beauty in people even when we're in low moods. Right? This morning when I was feeling so pathetic and poor me and just like I got no energy, I got nothing, I got no spark. I could still, when I was present, look over and see the concern on Koizi's face. Not worry concern, but just loving concern. Right? Can I get you something to drink then? Concern. Would you like some coffee? Can I get you something? You want some food? And I could go, oh, she's so kind. See, if I'm in my thinking in a low mood, I do not see kindness in people. Leave me alone. Stop bothering me. You have to be so annoying. Can't you see I'm miserable? Right. Seeing. Sid talked about seeing all the time. We had no clue what he was talking about because we were trying to figure it out. But once you experience the difference between having ideas about someone you're in relationship with, which always brings an agenda, right? Our kids can tell when we approach them with any kind of agenda. You're not safe. Kids will say, my parents never really listened to me. They mean it. They come thinking and wedded to ideas, right? Closed-minded. So almost anything the kid says is not heard, not respected, not listened to. Right? That only happens when we're wide open to new thinking. And then our kids say, I hate this, I don't want to do this. And we're listening in such a way it feels good. So we're not put off by them saying that. And then something new and fresh occurs to us to say to them that ends up being helpful instead of creating more reaction. So seeing the unknown, quiet mind, presence, listening, soul, pure consciousness, pure thought, pure mind, free of the contamination of personal thought, presence, ordinary, now, ordinary, dog shit ordinary, as a friend of mine says. Really ordinary. Just Sid said he had his enlightenment experience and he couldn't figure out what the fuss was about. He thought it was pretty ordinary. He dropped into a space. He literally saw light and experienced light. He went through the light to the other side. and he realized the oneness of life. But he said, that was just ordinary. It just dropped out of my thinking. I wasn't trying, I wasn't doing, right? Some people call that just being surrendered. Surrendering to the now, surrendering to the divine, surrendering to God. It's not resigning to life. It's letting go of all personal thought, letting go of ego. No downside ever. If we let go of ego and we drop into this wise space, wisdom will tell us when it's time to think about something. We can't stay in no thought forever because wisdom knows it's helpful to think about stuff, to use our intellect. We're given this gift, this tool, right? And it's like we have a laptop, there's times when it's really, we're doing this. We're using a computer, it's the same with human beings. We can use our computer, but we also then have to get sensitive to when we misuse it, or when we don't need to use it, or when it's not necessary. And if you're not sure, drop in, because wisdom will self-correct. Wisdom will help you find a balance between the intellect and wisdom that's perfect. Perfect. So it's wisdom that takes the lead, that knows how to use the computer wisely. So you can't figure out how to use your computer wisely. You can't, if you're thinking about should I be thinking about this? Is this wisdom? Is this not wisdom? How do I drop thought? And now, what were those principles? And then you drop into the unknown. It just means where the intellect doesn't have a clue. And it's the land of magic, beauty, peace, connection, aliveness. It's where we feel most alive, most comfortable, where we can be compassionate with ourselves, no matter what we're experiencing. It's free to flow like it does in babies. We're just not so wedded to the stories we're thinking up in our heads. Oh, this is horrible. I can't stand this. Oh, I can't believe this politician's saying this. Where's he get off? You would think, how could that? How can people believe that? As if they should. Ego, 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 ego. Here comes the big ego trying to solve the world's problems, thinking it knows how the world should be run. I got it figured out. Right? If they were like me, if they had my ego, life would be good. Right. Do people have questions or comments? It's such a paradox because we can't do it, we can't explain it. Like one time a friend came up and said, Dicken, I'm having trouble falling asleep. How do you do it? I said, well, you close your eyes and you fall. He said, but how do you do it? I thought, I don't know. And I'd been doing it for many, many years. See, I'm an expert on falling asleep. I'm good at it, right? I can't explain it. I can't explain the now. I can't explain presence. I'll say, but you'll know it. You'll know it. It's the absence of effort. See, there's all these little clues that are helpful. It's the absence of effort. So if you're trying, guarantee you're thinking. You have an idea about where you should be, and it's not where you are right now. You have a judgment innocently. Trying is just filled with all kinds of judgment. I shouldn't be here. I should be here. I should. And instead of listening, So Sid would say we're a thought away from our well-being. And one time talking to a group of troubled women who were becoming untroubled, he said, doesn't matter what your history is, doesn't matter what your past has been, doesn't matter what your personality is. You're a thought away from your well-being at all times. And then he said, I'd never heard him say this before. He said, you know what that thought is? A state of thoughtlessness. You find that, you'll find what you're looking for. And then he would give 10,000 hints because people would try to figure that out, try to do it. That's why Sid would say, the most important thing you can learn is that you can shift consciousness, you can change your mind. You said there's only one problem. You can't do it with your little mind. Your computer does not know how to get beyond itself. Doesn't know how to turn it, doesn't know how to close itself. My laptop can sit here forever and the lid is up. It doesn't know how to close itself. Right? You can't know what's beyond itself. So there's clues like just the ordinariness of being present, of listening, of not focusing on something and thinking about it, of being wide open, of coming to your senses, of falling awake like we fall asleep every night. It's the same thing, right? You just, in order to fall asleep, you have to get present, or you'll be thinking and then you'll be restless and then you won't fall asleep. And then you might be trying to fall asleep and then you're screwed. Take it from a master. Oh my God, when I learned the principles, I went into full on trying mode, just like you're talking about, Martina. Full on. Oh, it's just thought, Dicken. Drop it, drop it. Be present. Don't think that. It's the Tibetan Buddhist teaching say it's ordinary consciousness is our natural state. There's no effort in it. And they say it's too hard for people to find because it's too simple. It's too ordinary. It's always present. We just drop into it. It's too familiar. It's too close to us. It's like trying to see your own face without a mirror. It's right here. It's right here. Right? So it's like looking at that art where it's 3D art. You try to see the image. I've seen people just like staring and then not staring and then trying not to stare and then, oh man, they're going crazy. And then somebody else is just, they don't try and they go, oh, there it is. Where? The now is the one thing human beings can never do. The one thing that takes absolutely no effort. The one thing that is just being yourself. So sometimes Sid would say, just be yourself. Just be. Instead of think, just be. Let thinking do whatever it wants. Let it be. Let it go. Let it be. The Beatles had it right. That's nice. And what happened for you is, Martine, you became aware that you were trying. There's tension. That's ego. That's an idea of the now. And in that awareness, Sid says, if you really see thought, no effort is needed because it brings you back to the now. What brings you back to the now? Not the intellect. Wisdom brings us back to the now. Wisdom knows how to do all this. Wisdom knows how to clear our heads, right? So that's why sometimes they say it's just surrender is just allowing wisdom to live you. Sid would say, if you allow wisdom to live you, you're living in harmony with life. Or as Natasha and I said in our book, it's aligning yourself with life itself, with the universe, with how life works. You're just getting into alignment, into harmony. Freedom. A lot of people are talking about non-duality. It's the most ordinary thing in the world. We're inner concepts which always create duality. So when we're thinking about things, we're using concepts that create duality. When we truly fall into the now, we go beyond duality. That's why there's a sense of connection with flowers and trees and people and kids and cats and animals, and right? It's just experiencing what's true, that there is no separation. Freedom. If I have thoughts about my wife and who I think she is and how I think she should be, I'm not free. I'm caught in conditional thinking and memory and contaminated thoughts that distort how I see her. I'm not seeing, I'm just seeing. And then I wake up, and then personal thought goes to sleep. Sid says if you really understand the principles, it brings you constantly back to a meditative state where your personal mind goes to sleep and big mind starts living you perfectly. Oh, I like that. I like that. Einstein says people have a mistaken notion. They think the intellect is the master, where actually it's wisdom that's the master and the intellect is the servant. So when we're standing in wisdom, wisdom knows how to use the intellect wisely, so you don't have to even think about it or worry about it. You just naturally find yourself thinking about something in a way that's helpful. And then you get very sensitive to when it's not helpful. And then there's nothing to do. That's what he means by do nothing. He doesn't mean stop behaving. Do nothing is stop trying, stop efforting. It's a psychological statement, do nothing. It's not a behavioral command. Well, don't do anything. You don't have to do anything. If I'm in the now, I won't do anything. Well, the opposite happens when I'm in the now. You can't stop me from doing stuff. I get so inspired. When I played sports, when I drop in the now, I didn't sit down on the ground and do nothing. I was in the zone, baby. Watch out. Whew. When I'm in the middle of a family feud and I drop in and stop doing anything psychologically, boom, magic happens. I don't know. I feel different and I say different. I say new and fresh rather than same old stuff. Right? Very practical. Very, very practical. No matter the circumstance. They say when you're in life and death situations, stay calm, get quiet. They don't say think yourself into a frenzy and try and figure out what to do. It's a way of relying on wisdom to take the reins, to take the lead. Let go and let God. That's all it is. It's trust, it's faith in a greater intelligence, which is why we have to talk to people about the principle of mind. There is a greater intelligence. We are connected to that. And it knows how to live us perfectly when we take our hands off the reins of ego, where it's up to me to solve my problems. Right? as if ego can do a better job than the divine intelligence that knows how to create universes and operate them and create human beings and babies and get all those little systems that it's made to work together. Good luck with that. See, that's why it's called ego. It's an arrogance. I can do better than the greatest intelligence in the universe. That's why Sid says not a single person has more wisdom than you do. You just don't listen to it. Only when we're open-minded can wisdom have her way with us. Bye, Omar. Okay. Oh, I gotta go. I got an appointment. Thanks, everybody.
Next week, we're going to have Jenny Anderson and Dave Elleray, and we are going to be talking about freedom is always available. So they have worked for many years. Jenny have worked for more years than Dave, but they work together, and they have been able to find freedom. They've been working in Nepal when they have the earthquake. They've been working in South Africa with refugees, and so Dave was the first person to bring the principles to prisons here in the UK, and so I think we're absolutely in for a treat. And thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, it's been wonderful.
So much.
Carolina and Wayne, you guys are phenomenal. I've loved what you're doing, and I appreciate time to have a little chat with people.
Thank you so much. When we had this idea, we asked Chip and Jan, and then they said yes. And soon enough, we were going, should we ask Dicken?
Yeah.
And it was like, let's go. And it took you 2 seconds to go like, yes.
But let me think about that. Yes. Okay, you guys. Great being with everybody.
Let you go.
Love you.
See you
Bye.
soon.